Second only to the dialogue, one of the main strengths of Peep Show is, of course, the varied and unique characters that cross the path of our two main boys throughout the show. With the likes of Jeff and Johnson and Big Suze, Peep Show has graced us with some of the funniest, strangest characters that squirted from the minds of writers Jesse Armstrong and Sam Bain. But that doesn't mean every character on Peep Show was well written. To avoid any confusion, I've made 2 videos before wherein I ranked the characters on Peep Show on a scale of morality, how awful they are as people. But here, I'm not factoring morality into this ranking. This is simply how bad of characters they are. Are they entirely one note, boring to watch, badly acted? As evil as people like Daryl or Saz or Dan Corrigan are, I think they're portrayed very well through the acting and writing. This is simply the list of characters from Peep Show I think were unintentionally shit. You'll disagree with some of these. This is quite a personal list from my own brain, but interested to see how many of these you agree with, although most of you will definitely agree with the number 1 spot. Right, I will actually get into the list in a minute. I just wanted to get the elephant in the room back out of the room. Dobby is a good character, and I will defend her to my death. I know a lot of Peep Show fans hate her, still not completely sure why. I think she's well defined. Yeah, she's geeky and a bit cringe every now and then, but Izzy Suzi's acting is really great, and despite only joining after the peak in Series 5, by the end of her run, she's a fully fleshed out character and really feels like part of the world. So she's not in this list, alright? Anyway, let's move on to the actual number 10. Haha, just kidding, can you imagine? Just to be clear, a huge majority of Peep Show characters are pretty great, and compiling a list of 10 bad ones was surprisingly very difficult. That being said, I don't dislike April's character, and it's really her inclusion in Series 9 that got her in this list. When we first meet April, she's a young, insecure, timid uni student who seems to abhor everything that comes out of her own mouth, and she's very full of character. The problem is, when we find her again in Series 9, she's older, she's gained a bit more confidence, which is realistic to what probably would happen, but a very large part of her personality and character is just missing. I also feel like Catherine Shepard's performance isn't as believable or nuanced as it was in University Challenge. Every now and then she still delivers her lines in that strange, shy, sort of monotone robotic way, but it's not consistent with the rest of her character anymore, and so it ends up feeling a bit disjointed. When Mark's love interests before, like Dobby and Sophie, were so full of character and very direct and expressive with their feelings, having April as such the polar opposite to where she doesn't even say anything when Mark kidnapped her husband, it leaves her character feeling very one note and unfinished. I still love University Challenge though, and I think she's really, really well utilised in that episode. Again, I don't fully dislike Zara's character, but for as much of a focus as she gets in Series 7, I don't think she provides much in terms of laughs or just general investment. Apart from him being attracted to her, I don't see at all what Jez sees in her. She's so far removed from him as a person, you can see why he'd connect with Suze or Elena, but the only motivating factor I can see from Jez's infatuation with Zara is that he wanted to sleep with her when he first saw her at the hospital, and then he just kind of clung onto that mission as he probably sees it. And for me, this plus her personality makes her not all that interesting. She only really made me laugh once in the show when she mentions how the timeout guy is going to arrive in the cloakroom and she's not going to be there.
Would have been a fucking long wait.
Other than that, I don't get much from her character. You know, that's all. I don't dislike her, just she doesn't really provide much for me. I mean, at least Ben is pretty insufferable, and so that makes him fairly interesting to watch. Sorry, Zara. I do feel bad about this one.
It's a no.
Gail the Snail. Gail doesn't really feel like an actual character to me. There seems to be attempts at some sort of a personality or character attributes like her Mensa-ness. It's a funny concept, but not really fleshed out at all. Just feels like a bit of a blank slate, especially seeing as her whole purpose is to create tension between Jez and Elena, sort of as the obstacle in front of Jez, but that very quickly becomes all she is. It's even stranger when she comes back in Series 7 without Elena, and now she's just reduced to hates Mark. For what? All he did was piss in the jalapeno sauce. What, you don't like piss, Gail? Scared of a bit of piss? Typical. One whiff of some piss and suddenly you're little Miss Piss Disser who can't resist dissing a bit of piss, sis. Gail's cool though, I'll put her in Saint. Shit, wrong video.
Well, you know my name is Simon, and the things I draw come true.
Simon's one of those characters that I feel has a lot of missed potential, especially with the factor of having Matthew Baton play him. He fulfills his role fine, basically adding another level of insecurity for Mark regarding his relationship with Dobby. He just doesn't really provide much else to the show. He was fine for that one episode where him and Dobby were together, but as soon as him and the other IT misfits became a staple of Series 8, his lack of a real personality really started to show. I think part of what makes him so disconnected from the rest of the main cast is we never really get a good reading as to how he feels towards Mark and the others. It's implied multiple times he looks down on them or doesn't like them, which would, it would make sense. But then inviting them to the paintballing or to the gathering beforehand, it's just hard to fully connect to a character when you don't know what's going on inside their head. Matthew's acting is good, and it's not like he's an unrealistic character. There are definitely people exactly like Simon in real life, but it doesn't really make him any more interesting to watch. I do feel like a lot of the hate on Dobby is mainly due to her group of friends in Series 8 because they're all just so bland, and so it makes Dobby less interesting by association.
Oh, look who it is.
This is the last one on the list that fall just more under forgettable for me than right out bad. When we look back at the many one-off love characters introduced in the show to perk up the attention of Mark and Jez for an episode, Callie, Carla, Stephanie, Celia is definitely the least interesting person on that list, which is surprising seeing as pretty much her only notable trait is that she likes to think about cutting off dicks and wearing them as grass skirts while she gets ploughed. I think it would have been interesting to explore in more detail the concept of a woman training people on being life coaches, but clearly having some very strange, worrying internal baggage that she doesn't even seem to be aware of. But it's pretty much just used as a throwaway joke. She's not very likable or interesting to watch. Her unprofessionalism repulses me. This isn't a cop-out, fuck you. When I recently looked at the show's finale for my Peep Show's finale was a big poo-poo video, I had a realisation that for the second to last scene of the show, for the momentous occasion and climax to the episode, and the conclusion of the Series 9 arc, at Jeremy's 40th birthday party, apart from the series regulars we've been blessed with for the previous 5 episodes, don't worry, we'll fucking get to you, Mark and Jez's living room is ramsacked with these absolute randomers. Look at them. Seriously, who the fuck is this guy? In what world did Jez and Mark become friends with these? For any other show, this would be a mental decision to just drop in some random people off the street during one of the last scenes. A scene that has Mark and Jez giving as sentimental of speeches as they can give about their long friendship with each other, and every reaction shot is a bunch of no-names smiling earnestly like they've been part of their lives this entire time.
He's not a great man. He's not a wise man. He's not all.
I desperately need to know the backstory behind this decision. I mean, what was the casting call like for this scene? We need extras around late 30s to be long life friends of Mark and Jez, appear as meat in the room, Gerard, for the final fucking scene of this show that's been running for 12 years. It makes no sense. Mark even mentions at one point that the only reason he's inviting all of these people who hate Jez, who are also saying yes to coming for some reason. I mean, that's another thing. Yeah, Mark, I'll make an appearance and celebrate Jez's birthday, but I'm not happy about it, and I'm gonna make damn sure he knows how much I hate him when I turn up. Mark mentions no one wanted to come to Jez's party because he's burnt his bridges with almost everyone he knows. Well, who the fucking fuck are these sheep then? They're bad. They're bad characters. Joe. Lovely Joe. Joe kinda sucks. I've never had an issue with Series 9 introducing the concept of Jez entering a same-sex relationship. I think it makes sense for his character and had been hinted at throughout the show. But Joe feels so artificially inserted into this series. he really doesn't fit this world at all. It feels more like he's there to check off boxes for Jez's conflicts. Jez has to wrestle with his sexuality, or Jez needs to be involved in an affair, or Jez needs to be insecure about getting older. Joe's just simply written to provide Jez with these conflicts, but none of them seem natural. If suddenly by episode 5 Jesse and Sam wanted Jez to wrestle with his insecurity of being out of shape, then I wouldn't be surprised if Joe was then forcibly written to be a fitness freak. Also, is it just me who thinks Joe is too old to be portrayed as this young, going out all the time, sleep when we're dead dude? I'm not saying 30-year-olds can't be like that, of course they can, but it's less of an expectation and more of a personality quirk at that age. Like, oh, you're still going clubbing? Nah, that's cool, man, that's cool, sort of thing, you know what I mean? It makes Jez's conflict less engaging, because Jez could just as easily tell Joe to grow up and stop acting like he's 20. Bad character. Out of every character in Peep Show, Molly is hands down the blandest, and she literally marries the most unhinged character in the show. You could say, well, that's the point. She's supposed to contrast Superhands, but you'd be wrong. You can write a character whose personality is boring and bland, but not make them skin-peelingly boring to watch. I mean, they did that with Egg in Arrested Development. Molly is extremely uninteresting, and whether that was intentional or not, when she's on screen, I want to kill myself. Disregarding that, even her involvement in the show is lackluster. Being the reason for Superhands' sobering up, but not in a funny way like done before. The wedding was so non-eventful, and their divorce was even more uneventful. Really, such a nothing character, and I hate her. Whilst not as boring as Molly, I do really hate whenever Megan's on screen. I haven't seen loads with Carrie-Ad Lloyd. She's one of those actresses you see in random bits and bobs here and there, panel shows, Would I Lie to You, QI. She seems like a nice lady, but her more than anyone else, I really don't believe her acting most of the time. It's hard to know whether it's the writing, but honestly, I think she's just a little too normie to be in this show. I think she lacks the edge or unconventional nature that so many actors in Peep Show's past had. I mean, the scene of her berating Jez I find kind of cringe to watch, to be honest. I don't know if it's the fact that you can see her almost break character towards the end of a shot just to cut back to Jez and then back to clearly a different take of her after she composed herself, but there's so many lines that I just hate her delivery of. But yeah, I really hate when she's on screen. There aren't really any defining personality traits related to her. I mean, it's really night and day. When you go back and watch someone like Tony or even Nancy from the earlier seasons, their strange, quirky behavior and delivery is part of what makes this show so good and unique. The writing and dialogue, of course, is great, but it does take a certain level of actor to perform it, otherwise it can feel very fake. Megan's bad, and the fact she's beaten out of the #1 spot by someone with way less screen time than her just shows how fucking atrocious this #1 spot truly is. While some characters were maybe lost in translation, the acting or their relevance to the story or their dynamic with Mark and Jez made them bad characters, I don't even know what Sam and Jesse were going for with Gregory. He feels so painfully out of place. He really does not exist in this world. And I'm not even going to chop it up to the kind of bad accent from Jonathan Harden. The things he says, even his wardrobe, is just baffling. I don't know if maybe the same costume person has been part of Peep Show since the beginning, deciding what plain shirt to give to Mark and what tight graphic tee to give to Jez. Suddenly they have to dress a hipster character, and so just typed in hipster to Google and went off that. I'm sure people like Gregory exist, but not with this level of caricaturiness. People are a lot more nuanced than this, and Peep Show has never really been a show that just copies and pastes that just copies and pastes stereotypes straight into the script. I mean, even someone like Gwyn had a lot more nuance to his hippie personality than Gregory does with his hipster one. No discernible traits, he says things very strangely. Obviously, he's supposed to be framed as competition for Mark, and maybe he isn't supposed to be very likable, but #1, that would imply we as the audience are rooting for Mark to get back with Dobby, which the story that plays out doesn't really cater to at all. I'm not sure if anyone who watched Gregory's beard for the first time actually wanted them to get back together. I mean, I certainly didn't. But Gregory is unlikable in a way that pulls you out of the episode. It's like watching Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones. Gregory is the unwanted guest at our Peep Show dinner, and with like 5 minutes maybe of screen time, he is truly the worst character ever to appear in the show. Anyways, that's the end of my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know some characters. It was quite hard compiling this list, because as I said at the beginning, a huge strength of Peep Show is its characters. But yeah, I'd love to do maybe a 10 best characters in the future. Seems like the obvious route to go with. Anyway, that's all from me. I love you all. Goodbye. Mwah.